morning, I'm Amanda Holloway, and I'm pleased to moderate today's conversation between two of Xylem's newest leaders, Matthew Pine, who is the Senior Vice President and Vice President of Xylem's Applied Water Systems and America's Commercial Team, and Joe Johnston, Vice President of Water Infrastructure for Xylem North America. I'm going to be asking questions that highlight the importance of having strong partnerships at every point in the water cycle, especially during these extraordinary times. So I'd like to start with a formal welcome to both of you to Xylem. I think now is a great time for you to introduce yourself and give us a little bit of background, when you joined the company, etc. Matthew, let's start with you.
Great. Thanks for having me today. Very excited to be here. Started with the company March 16th, which was the week we went into shutdown. So it was it's been quite the challenge, and I'll talk about that hopefully here in a minute. But, again, very happy to be here. And listen, I've been fortunate to work in lots of different industries in my background, from underground utility contracting, which is probably the most analogous to, what I'm doing today within Xylem, to HVAC, which was heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and wind power generation, and now into water. So, I think those experiences have served me well. Each one of those experiences in those different end markets, had a lot of pain points that are very similar to what we're dealing with: affordability, sustainability, productivity, efficiency, and lastly, hopefully we'll talk about digital today, interoperability, which is becoming more and more really relevant and prevalent in industries. And so I think a lot of these pain points that I've had experiences in are very applicable to water utilities. And I think I can bring those experiences to really accelerate our offerings that we have at Xylem to help our customers, and really also give them a point of view of how other industries are dealing with some of the same challenges.
Great. So let me introduce myself as well. I'm also relatively new to the company. I joined Xylem in November of last year, and somewhat similar to Matthew. My background is in the power generation industry, which, to Matthew's point, I think has a lot of similarities to what we do within our water infrastructure business here at Xylem as well, in that both are in the industrial space, which have a mix of short and long cycle projects creating valuable outcomes for customers. In addition, both work in the regulated environment. And so I'm very familiar with the utility model. And most of my time in power generation was spent in the service space, servicing power plants for their long-term needs. And so as we think strategically about some of the things that we're emphasizing, I think we'll get into as part of our conversation here, trying to leverage that experience with services specifically, I think is going to be important for our strategy going forward. And so, while yes, I'm new to the water industry, I do think I'm able to draw on a number of experiences in installing equipment in the field, sales, operations, and general management that have a number of parallels for our teams and for our customers as well.
I want to get back to something Matthew said earlier, that he joined the company basically right at the height of the pandemic. And so you both have sort of entered into this industry in this most interesting time. And I think that's maybe made it challenging for you to foster camaraderie, relationships, whether that's internal with employees or external, just because of the travel restrictions and all of that good stuff. So how are you building relationships in light of some of these barriers that COVID is presenting?
Yeah, I can kick it off and then turn it over to Joe. Look,
Sure.
Like I said, there's nothing like a good pandemic to test your leadership skills right out of the gate when you join a new industry and a new company. But look, it's obviously limited face-to-face interaction, which is critical. It's good to meet people in person, look them in the eye, spend time with them face-to-face. However, our world is evolving, and digital tools like Zoom and others do make it very easy to engage people. Again, face-to-face is always good, especially when you're forming relationships. But in the absence of that, it's worked actually pretty well for me. I think, I kind of look at it more from a positive where this has allowed me to spend more times with colleagues, getting to know them better globally. And before I probably would have on an airplane, I would have been in airports. That when you really take a step back and look at how much time that is that you travel, I've really turned that on its head and used that to spend time really engaging colleagues. I think the other thing too is with the pandemic, it's really forced us to have even closer ties to our customers and even being more engaged with them. And an example of that would be some of our distribution councils where we go through independent distribution to the end customer. We used to meet maybe monthly, but usually quarterly. We were meeting weekly and still meet, fairly often since the pandemic. And so it's really helped me ramp up, spend more time with customers, and really has driven more engagement from my perspective. Probably the last point on that would be, communication. Much like our customers, it's forced me and also my peers and our CEO to have a lot more engagement with our employees. And so, onboarding in this situation, while can be a challenge, I think has afforded me a time to really engage more and really go into the deep end of the pool quick and learn the business. And again, and just engage lots of different stakeholders more so than I would have kind of in a traditional onboarding. So I'm kind of taking the positive view on it, and I think that's helped me a lot.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I mean, for me, I guess I have a little bit of a leg up on Matthew in that I joined in November and had a couple months of travel, allowing me to meet some of our team, our partners, our customers. But it's obviously been a challenge with the inability to travel as freely as we've been used to. And look, I think that extends to our customers and our partners as well. But to Matthew's point, we're adapting, using the Zooms and the WebExes, not only for business purposes, but also for happy hours and coffee chats, etc., which helps. But also a lot of one-on-ones that don't necessarily have a strict business purpose, just trying to create some space to get to know people, just as you would at lunch or a face-to-face meeting. I've actually been surprised with how well that's worked along with the video chat. But look, I'd also say that some of our team is still traveling and still doing a lot of work in the field, holding meetings as necessary. I mean, Xylem is a critical infrastructure company, and our partners and our customers depend on us. And so many of our people out there working every day doing those installations, startups, commissioning, those critical functions that are necessary to keep the water running. And we've taken a number of steps to support them and keep them safe. But we'll continue to be out there as needed to support our customers in providing that safe, clean water that they need and is so important too.
I'm going to shift gears a little bit here now and talk about this major progression in our industry towards digitalization. We hear terms like Internet of Things, embedded intelligence, integrated systems, et cetera. How are we approaching the digital transformation overall? And I think that's a great question for you to start with, Matthew. And then, Joe, if you can weigh in on more specifics for the water utility industry, that would be great.
Yeah, look, digitalization is a big word, and it means a lot of things to a lot of people. Really, it entails the whole value chain from my point of view, from how you are more efficient in your workplace, through things like bots that can, or basically macros that can, do things that humans used to do administratively, to how you digitize products in the field and bring back data from those. It could be your operations, both service and factories. It can be the customer experience. So there's lots of different ways that people are dealing with digitalization in their businesses. And as I think about really the digital transformation, I think of it in kind of different phases along the continuum. You've got kind of monitor, control, optimize, and then automate, which is really autonomy, which is basically something that's self-actuating. If you think about an iRumba vacuum, that's automation. It's cleaning your house, it's moving around. So that's a good example I like to use. So everyone is on a different part of the continuum. Every customer is in a different place on that journey. And for us, I think it's about providing discrete solutions for each one of those different pieces of the continuum, but also kind of knitting and stitching together a solution that can take it from end to end. And I know that, some of the folks have heard of Xylem View, which is a product that we're putting together to look at the system more holistically in water utilities from end to end, that takes it from beginning to end along that continuum. And I think the other thing that's really critical too nowadays, in the past where solutions were not interoperable with other, could be peers, competitors, whatnot, those systems have to be open and be agnostic, if you will, and be able to plug and play with any type of device. So again, I think that, we're addressing it, for discrete solutions along the continuum to help our customers and all the benefits that, hopefully we'll get into in a minute around what those things can do for the customer. But that's how I think about digital from my point of view.
Yeah. And look, within water infrastructure and in the utility space, we're leveraging the digital capabilities we have today, but also making investments in digital to better serve the needs of our customers tomorrow. Today, we've got digital solutions such as our BlueX wastewater network optimization tool, which really helps utilities more efficiently manage flow from their collection systems versus some of the traditional methods. And then we also have our BlueX treatment plant optimization software, which helps utilities simulate and efficiently manage many of the complex processes in a treatment facility. But I'd go back to what Matthew said as well, which is that while we have digital solutions today, we are making investments, going forward. We're all also investing in some of the more traditional, what I would consider digital solutions around M&C, monitoring controls, connected devices, monitoring and diagnosing to get more out of the equipment that is already in the field, and the inherent intelligence that is in that equipment. But at the end of the day, digital is really, in my mind, just another arrow in the quiver, along with our traditional products and services, to help customers achieve the outcomes that they deem necessary. And I think, to Matthew's point, that's how we're approaching solving those problems for customers, is finding out what those outcomes are, and then pairing the digital with the hardware, with the services to deliver on that end outcome that the customer deems important.
Yeah, and just to take that a step further, Joe, how do you think our digital solutions can help strengthen our partnerships with our customers, channel partners, et cetera?
Yeah, look, I mean, for me, it's rather simple, right? Digital solutions allow us to serve our customers and be closer to them by not only solving the challenges that they have today, but also using asset management, monitoring, diagnostics, and frankly, predictive analytics to anticipate the issues that they may have tomorrow before they occur. I think we're all trying to get out in front of not only solving what our issues are today, but solving what they will be tomorrow. And I think digital is an efficient, cost-effective way of doing that, and providing the reliability that customers need, and allowing us to partner with them more closely going forward.
Okay. I'm going to move into another area here and talk about critical services. Specifically, what are some of the factors driving growth and expansion of these services? We'll start maybe with you, Joe, and talking about specifically in the water utilities market, what some of these critical services are.
Sure. So, look, we provide a number of critical services for our customers, ranging from preventative maintenance agreements to startup and commissioning services that I mentioned earlier. But, really, when I think of critical services, I immediately think of our dewatering rentals business. So this is a 24/7 business supporting a number of market verticals, from industrial to construction, as well as the utility space. And specific to the utility market, this is a critical service they perform unplanned maintenance work, but also in support of major weather events, such as the season that we're in right now, with the weather event that we're having, and where we're there to support our customers and our communities when there's flooding, and frankly, ultimately where, water is where you don't want it. And one area in particular I'd highlight is our engineered dewatering solution. So these are custom designed, engineered turnkey solutions that are oftentimes planned long-term rentals to accommodate plant upgrades or significant retrofits that allow our customers to keep their facilities running and delivering or producing clean drinking water while making the investments that are required for their long-term success. And so with an aging infrastructure, we see more of a need for this, and we're investing in this area and leveraging our engineering horsepower, which we think is a differentiator for Xylem and can deliver for our customers.
Matthew, how do you see Xylem's critical services evolving to continue to deliver that value to our customers?
Yeah, I'll probably take it up a notch from where Joe was and just think about it a little bit more holistically. And one of the biggest challenges today, not only for water utilities, but also lots of other industries, is labor. There's a lot of folks that are retiring now from different trades, and specifically from the water utility industry. And this is one of the top issues I hear about all the time. It's about, labor that is retiring, and the challenge, again, across lots of trades and water utility to backfill that labor. So providing solutions that really drive productivity and allow the utilities to do maybe the same amount of work that they have today with less people, but ultimately doing more with less people, is really something that we're super focused on. And I think where that also, the correlation to that is also driving affordability. As you think about dealing with COVID right now and potential loss of revenue for the different water utilities that are out there, not only dealing with labor issues, but also affordability in terms of their costs going up, their, less money to invest. It's really imperative that we drive this productivity to deal with labor, both on that side, but also just the lack of revenue, so we can keep water costs down and continue to make it affordable for people. It's already a challenge in some parts of the United States and certain cities. We just can't let it get worse. So that's one area that we're really focused on from a critical service point of view.
We've spent, a lot of time today in the discussion focused on the criticality of our partnerships during these, really interesting times. And just wanted to circle back and ask, what kinds of partnerships we're talking about and why they're so essential to the industry's forward movement right now. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, so look, partnerships is a big word, and when I think about partnership, it's shared success. And look, I think it's something that we've been doing for a long time. We partner with our distributors in our rep network on the indirect side of our business. We partner with our end customers, and so while I think this isn't anything particularly new, that doesn't mean that it's business as usual, and we don't think about how we enhance those partnerships further. And so look, we're trying to drive closer partnerships and relationships with all of our partners, particularly as we think about driving those shared outcomes. And it's not just providing a product or a service. It's about looking on delivering outcomes and new business models that drive alignment in those shared goals. And so as I think about that more specifically with our distributors and our rep networks, I think about a fresh approach about how we partner with our channels to bring more of their feedback into our product roadmap, into the business, and be more transparent about go-to-market strategies and making shared decisions. And at the end of the day, our distributors, our rep network are some of the best salespeople in addition to our direct salespeople and team that we have. And they've got a lot of great product, customer market intel that we need to be using for our collective growth to drive the greater value and end solutions for our shared customers. And so as we think about those partnerships, as we think about driving those shared outcomes and relationships, we're really trying to emphasize the outcomes to really bring us closer together going forward. Again, not only with our distributors and reps, but also in a similar fashion with our end customers as well.
Matthew, what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, just to, again, anchor the point I just made, I think partnerships with our utilities to address non-revenue water, digital in terms of driving down costs, and as a service models are pretty important. Those partnerships are important because, again, as they face additional or, reductions in revenue, helping them in those areas will be really important to have them continue on and be efficient and leverage their operations. I'd shift gears a little bit and think about it more from a social mission point of view, partnerships. We have several partnerships around the globe. A couple I'd highlight in the U.S., we have partnerships with the Well Water Trust, which is really a mandate to provide clean water to American families. And then we have our relationship with waterboys.org. I didn't realize it when I joined the industry that there's tens of millions of people that have well water in the United States. And especially during the COVID crisis, where people are unemployed and they have challenges, if one of their pumps breaks down, being able to afford that, or if their well just dries up and they need to drill a new well, how that can impact them in their life if they can't have fresh, clean water. So I think those partnerships are really important on the social side for us to be super engaged in and make sure we're doing our part to help families across the U.S.
Well, that's great. I'm going to throw a final question here at you both before we close up. That's just one to satisfy my curiosity, really. But just we'll start with you, Matthew. I just would love to hear what is one of the more interesting things you've learned since joining Xylem.
Wow, interesting thing. I think let's probably frame it this way. One of the reasons I came to Xylem was it's a very balanced company. It does a good job of balancing on, obviously we're publicly traded and we have to meet certain financial, obligations and meet our commitments to our shareholders. But, when I interviewed, what really intrigued me was the focus on employees and the focus on social mission and the philanthropic work that we do. And since I've been here, that has been reinforced, which makes me feel really good that I think we have a really balanced company that looks at things multidimensional. And just to be frank, you don't get that a lot today in companies. And, a lot of companies, every company's got warts, but lots of companies tend to really focus on the bottom line. And I think the balance that we have as a company has really opened my eyes. I thought it was there, and since I've been on board, it's what I've witnessed, and it makes me proud to work at Xylem.
Yeah, for me, Amanda, I would reiterate the same points. That was something that certainly attracted me to Xylem, was the mission of the company, and happy to say that impression and initial impression has led and become a realization. But the passion of the people and the team, not only inside Xylem, but our partners and then our customers around that mission of providing clean, safe drinking water, and doing whatever it takes to support that in the community has really struck me, and frankly excites me and motivates me, and just that passion that comes through every day it's very motivating, and happy to say that that realization has come through from the initial impressions, and just really enjoying it.
Great. Well, we're very fortunate to have both of you on board. I'm very happy to have you here, and I really appreciate you sharing some of your insights regarding these extraordinary times and these extraordinary partnerships.
Thanks, Amanda. Appreciate the time.
Thanks for the opportunity.